Welcome back to the Magnolia Shine podcast, episode 2, right here, Thursday, August 21st of 2025. We got a big show for you today. I'm Trellis Williams, Blake Levine with you as well. Want to start off by reminding you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button to the Magnolia Shine podcast. Hit that subscribe button right now. Also, hit the like button, as well as share it with anybody else who's interested in Mississippi high school sports, because this is where you're going to get some good coverage here, the Magnolia Shine podcast. So, Blake, look, we're back. What's going on?
Oh man, I'm doing good. It seems like we weren't sure what we were going to do for topics, and now we have too many topics.
I know it. I know. We got plenty to talk about here. And now football's about to come out as well. But the first story, the big story, is you broke this story yesterday, Blake. 13 schools in the MHSAA on probation now for wearing pads too early. No significant penalties yet, but these teams are on probation. But these schools, some of them are major players in football here. Just to list them off, you got Brandon, Biloxi, Ridgeland, Gulfport, Taylorsville, Laurel, Picayune, Florence, Franklin County, Mount Olive, Sumrall, Greenwood, and Columbia. And as far as my understanding is, Blake, these teams self-reported, correct?
That's 100% correct, and I want to make sure that everything is clear here for people because it gets put on social media, and I tried my best to explain it, but it's always better in this kind of format to explain fully what went down. So pretty much these 13 schools, maybe more, maybe we don't know, self-reported that they were in pads too early in the summer. They wanted an
Yeah.
acclimation period with the heat that they're trying to be really safe now in the offseason in Mississippi, and other states are doing this too. It's not just a Mississippi thing
Yeah.
if people think Mississippi's soft. No, this is all throughout the South because the weather is so bad. They do not want kids overheating. You know, when you put the pads on, especially that helmet, you're gonna lose more water, you're gonna be hotter, and so they just want an acclimation period. And I guess some of these schools put in pads early. Now the MHSA sent out a warning that they got word of this, and they said, "Hey, self-report, and we'll make the penalty very low. But you did break the rules, so you're gonna have to get something." These 13 schools self-reported, which was the right thing to do because they
Got it.
got probably some small level of a fine, and then they got put on probation. So what that means is, I mean, you guys know what the fine is. They're going to have to pay some level of money. The probation thing is, hey, do not do it again. But as of right now, you have no punishment outside of that fine other than you're on your second strike, and a third strike, you're out here. All these schools have been good behavior schools for the most part. So as long as they just go about practice normally and they play the games normally, there will be no problem with any of these schools and their future. There's no home games lost. There's no playoff games, being banned. Not at all. However, they are one strike away, so they wish they didn't have to. I do want to say this, and I'm sorry I'm being long winded, but we just want to make
That's
sure that
fine.
everyone understands what's going on here. The schools that did not self-report, and if they find out that they did it, they're going to be in trouble. That's the word I got. So, and I also got the word is it's too late to self-report. They gave them the
Oh,
timeline to
wow.
self-report.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that something's going to happen, but there is a possibility here somewhere that one of these schools didn't self-report and the MHSA finds out, and I'm curious what that punishment's going to be.
Yeah, so that should be very interesting there. But I mean, if you think about it, if you're going to have rules like this, which you understand the rules. I mean, listen, it's been over 100 degrees out here the last few weeks, like day after day. So you understand the rules. But if you're going to have these rules, you got to enforce them because it's a different advantage for teams that have practiced in pads longer.
I called several people about this, and I'm not going to give out names or words, but here's what
Yeah,
they said. Everyone knew the rules. There is no way that any of these schools were unaware of the rules or what they were doing. Now, a school may say they were unaware. I don't know. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is the people on the other side, they were aware and they made the mistake. But at the same time, they were happy that these schools self-reported. They took that as a sign of respect.
Yeah. And for sure. And that's a good thing there. So hopefully you can get all that right. And what we don't want to see, I mean, especially us as with covering high school sports here in Mississippi, what we don't want to see is major schools getting violations where they can't compete in the playoffs, because that just takes away the entertainment value of this whole thing. So we want everybody to be good and clear.
Yeah, no, look, I'm for, if you're going to ban a team from the playoffs, it's got to be bad, bad. It's got to be bad, bad. It's got to be multiple errors and or an error that was I mean, if you're playing five players that are college age kids, yeah, that's you're done for the
Yeah,
playoffs.
yeah, we can't.
You play one kid that's a college age kid. I think you just forfeit the games that kid played. Like there's different levels to crimes, just like there is in our law system.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So next topic we got is we're going to talk a little bit about the MAIS's first week, week zero, as it is called. And we have a few games in there that are interesting. Kind of a lot of them are like opening games, introductory games to this season. I know that one that was pretty cool to see is Ravenwood out of Tennessee taking on MRA, a father and son matchup between the coaches of MRA and Ravenwood. And I know, Blake, you know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine coaching against your son for the first time, where it's your son's sitting there on the other side, and it's this great battle between two football programs, and Herbert Davis, who's the coach over at MRA, and then his son over at Ravenwood. When you are Herbert Davis, it's different than maybe another father son because he is such a Mississippi legend. There are
Yeah.
people in this state that put Herbert Davis in that top 10 all time high school football coaches in Mississippi history. There are those people that believe he is in that because he won at so many different schools. He's had top 10 schools repeatedly in the overall rankings, forget private schools. So for him, you got to think that his son got to watch all that, and he thinks to himself, well, I want to be like dad, maybe even a little bit better. So I just love the idea of scheduling that also in a week zero game where it's a team out of Tennessee and then MRA here locally. It doesn't count for anything in the standings or PowerPoints or anything like that, other than it's cool in a week zero game to have this game where they're going to be on both sides of the field.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be in Madison, so at MRA. And so the Patriots will be
Wait,
hosting.
did you think they were going to go play at the Sun in Tennessee? No, no, no. They were coming to play at Daddy's ballpark. Come on, you know they're going
Oh,
to go
yeah.
play at Daddy's ballpark.
Most definitely, most definitely. And so, we have some more games on here as well. Got Bowling Green out of Louisiana taking on Adams County Christian. And so that'll be a matchup there in week zero. And I know that you were looking forward to that one as well, Blake.
I'm looking forward to that one because both those teams have been repeatedly knocking on the door, if not winning a championship here recently. When I look at week zero games, I understand that is not going to be the team that we see in week 10. There's just no way. And if they are the same team that we see in week zero or week 10, then there was an issue because that means that team didn't get better or worse. Then what were they doing this whole time? And by the way, you never stay the same. You either get better or worse. So I guess if you're the same from week zero as you are in week 10, you did get worse in a sense. But I think that's a really cool one because David King over at ACCS always has great teams, great athletes. So they're always an interesting team to watch early because they always improve towards the end of the year. And then Bowling Green, they've been knocking on the door. And obviously they're a run first team and they've had some division one talent too recently as well. So I think when you mash those two teams up and they're not that far away from each other, I think that's a really fun week zero game. But also of note, week zero isn't just week one. It seems like every team's playing.
I know it. I know it. It's just a regular week, it seems like. It seems like you see everybody playing. But as we're talking about MAIS football right now, what's a team that you would say is one to watch for this upcoming year? Obviously, you would think Hartfield, you would think Jackson Academy. Those two teams are very big in the minds, but I'm sure Jackson Prep and MRA will have something to say about that.
Yeah, at the highest level, I think Jackson Academy is the favorite. I understand Hartfield's won the last 2 years, but Hartfield wasn't the favorite the first time they won either. But that's why we pick preseason, and maybe it changes during the year. But Jackson Academy, just their defense to me is just one of the best in the state. If we're talking outside the Metro Big Four of Hartfield, Jackson Prep, JA, and MRA, well, one, Park Lane might be the best team. I think they might be a top three team. I mean, I think they could rival Prep and possibly MRA. I think that would be a close game. I think Park Lane's really good this year. Heck, they
Yeah.
hung 70 points in the state championship game last year. So I think they could be really good and a sneaky team. And it's interesting because their championships are so they're probably going to be in that Division II level. Magnolia Heights, as long as Cole plays and their quarterback, because he's a baseball player, he's I think committed to Ole Miss to play baseball. That kid's a really good quarterback. Magnolia Heights has some dudes. Weirdly, I think they could be a sneaky team to maybe mess with Park Lane, Capaya, and Simpson. So Mag Heights out in the Northwest, I think they're a scary team. When we drop down a little bit lower, I think in that 3A level, I think it's Leak Academy and Tri-County. I just don't know how those two teams don't meet in the state championship game at the Division I level 3A. Those are the two best teams. I think they could even play up if they wanted to. I mean, I know that's not a thing, but those two schools definitely. And then at the 2A level, it's really interesting because that's the most wide open of all of these. And there's about 5 or 6 teams that could win it.
Yeah, and listen, all those schools that you listed, I mean, they just have a culture. They have a winning culture there in their football programs. And so it'll be interesting to see that. I saw one of your videos, Blake, a couple of months ago talking about the five-star long snapper on Park Lane, which is something else. Kind of one of those fun facts that you really only see in your reels. Kind of talk about that a little bit. I think his if I'm not mistaken, his dad, I think, is the athletic director there at Park Lane. I know that family runs deep there at Park Lane, but that's pretty interesting there.
Oh, are we talking about the Simpson or the Park Lane?
Park Lane,
Which one?
Park Lane.
Okay, Park Lane, because Simpson's got a long snapper that or a long snapper. I forgot. JD Lane is his name over at Simpson, but okay, Kyle Rushing over at
Yeah,
Park
yep.
Lane. Yeah, he's a long snapper. He's going to UCF. Yeah, UCF. With the one that's
Yeah.
green. Yeah, Central.
No,
And yeah,
USF, South
yeah,
Florida. He's
USF.
going.
Sorry.
Yeah.
See, sometimes off the dome. All right,
Oh
but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Kyle Rushing. Yes, his dad is the football coach over there, Ron Rushing, and he's a really good guy. I talk to him all the time, and I reached out to him one day and I said, "Hey, I want to do a story on your son. I see he committed. Is he really like that?" He's like, "Yeah, he's been going to all these camps and he's got all these stars." And I said, "All right, let's check it out." And I was like, "Wow, Mississippi doesn't just have the 5-star running back, the 5-star wide receiver. You know, there's specialists in the state." And by the way, non MAIS, but the kid over at Petal, he's the #1 punter in the nation and in the class of 2027. So I guess we got some good specialists here too.
We sure do, and folks, definitely be sure to subscribe to the Magnolia Shine podcast because you get more than just this show. We do this show twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays at 5 p.m., but we also have stuff from Blake, his shorts and reels that people are really into. If you just want to know anything about high school sports, he goes one after another. Also, we plan to have interviews on this, that we put out here and everything, so just stay tuned to our channel. So now we're going to get to another top 5 list. We had one on Monday that we went down the top 5 7A schools, 7A teams in the MHSAA. Now we're going to go through the top 5 6A teams from our own perspective. So Blake, listen, buckle up, let's go, man. You ready with your top 5? Who you got?
All right, at number 5, I have Hattiesburg. I know they were in the state championship last season, but they lost a bunch of really good players. They lost their coach. However, I do like the new coach. I do think that they got a transfer quarterback from Georgia, I believe. I think they're really solid. They have Tristan Key still, another 5-star wide receiver, the best wide receiver in the state. I got to think that if you get that kid the ball enough, you should be a top 5 team in your class.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Hattiesburg, obviously, they had a tough ending to last year because they were 13-0, and then they end up getting blown out in the championship game. But they did lose a lot of guys. We'll see how they adjust to just being a fresh new team with Tristan Keys staying there. But listen, man, I'm gonna have to go with my own Terry Bulldogs right here at number
I knew
5.
you were going to do this. I knew you were
Now,
going to do this.
here's the thing. I'm not just using my heart. I'm using my brain a little bit as well. They're coming back with a good offense here. Rondé Baker is the running back. He was hurt at the end of last year, so they kind of trailed off at the end of the season last year. I think this year the key is staying healthy through the end. I think we're gonna have a big breakout season for quarterback Brady Busby as well. The question on Terry is the defense, losing a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball, but I think they'll get it right by the end of the season. And again, Terry finished 5th 2 years ago in 6A, so this isn't completely unfeasible. I think Terry at number 5. That's a lot of heart, and also I got my reasons.
All right, at number 4, yeah, I don't have Terry on my list. Sorry, Terry fans.
It's all
Number
right.
4, number 4, South Panola, because tradition matters. I understand they haven't won recently, but they've been around the second, third round of the playoffs. I think they're definitely really good again. I think that they have all the pieces to possibly win a state championship. Now, do I pick them? No, but I think they're definitely a top 5 team.
And I would have to agree with you. I got South Panola at number 4 as well. Last year they were in the second round. They lost to Warren Central. Warren Central was a tough team in the playoffs, and they end up falling to them. But South Panola, just like you're saying, winning culture. They've been strong for a long time. You never know when the chains will break, and maybe they can make a run for the championship. But I do think they'll be a top 4 team.
Yeah, I think it's hard to not put them in your top 5 just preseason, just based off tradition and culture. And even though they haven't won the championship, they're winning playoff games still. It's not like they've disappeared in that aspect. Number 3, I'm going to go with Grenada. And I know this is very surprising. They won the championship last year, was in the finals the year before. They have a great big time wide receiver, Division One talent that's going to Mississippi State as of right now. I think they have a great coach in Michael Fair, and we talk about great coaches all the time. Michael Fair is in that list as well, so they'll definitely be really good. I do think that they've lost enough that I'm just going to pull them back just a little bit. But Grenada's going to get mad and they're going to send me a bunch of messages and say, no, we're number 1. I go, well, maybe you are, but not right now, in my opinion.
Well, look, man, this is going to be a little different than Monday's list because I agree with you again. I got Grenada at number 3 as well, and listen, Grenada's been in the championship game both years since in this new 6A region since they reclassified everybody. They had a great season. Their only loss last year was to 7A Oak Grove. But I agree with you. They're losing a good amount of guys from that championship team. But obviously, they're still. Listen, we got them at number 3. There's no slight there.
No, no, not at all. I mean, I understand it may feel like a slight because they won it all last year, but we've talked
That's right.
about this. Kids graduate, and then your juniors become seniors, your sophomores become juniors, right? So it's a catch-22 to it, kind of in a way when it comes to high school sports. Number 2, I have Picayune. I think this is the season that they come back. I also think the South, and I hate to do this, but their record is going to be really good because they're playing in the South and who they have to play. I think that they are on a clear path to possibly the state championship game. And I think they are going to be maybe talking about close, maybe a 9-1 regular season. Picayune just has every tool. And they're going to run the ball down your throat.
That's for sure. I got Warren Central number 2, and Warren Central, listen. Thing about Warren Central's they competed very well in the old 6A with the Brandons and the Oak Groves and the Pearls, and then they competed well in that region. And so now they're trying to bust out and be able to even win a championship. This past year they're in the North State Championship, lost to Grenada. But I think this Warren Central team this year will be in the championship game. However, I don't have them as my number 1 team. I have them number 2.
Well, guess who I have as my number 1 team?
I think I could guess.
It's Warren Central. If you watch my TikTok, then you know I have Warren Central as the #1 team. I have them as the favorite to win it all. This is the year. This is the year. They can play any style that you want now. I think in years past, there's been times where they've almost had to muck the game up to compete with teams that are just so much more talented than they are. However, this year I think they have the talent. They can muck it up. They can play any style that you want this year. They have I believe, a 3-year starter at quarterback who's the don't get mad at me. I think it's the coach's son. His last name is it's Nash Morgan. I think unless it's related to one of the other Morgans. There's a billion Morgans in Warren Central. So don't get mad. But I know the kid's name is Nash. I just think that team defensively always top tier every single year. I don't need to know who the kids are. I just know that they're going to be good defensively. I think they have the offense to score enough that pushes them over the hump to win it all.
Yeah, and I've got Picayune #1. So we just have our 1 and 2 flipped. Picayune, listen, they took Hattiesburg right to the finish in that South State Championship game last year, and I think they'll be better suited this year than Hattiesburg. Off of what Hattiesburg lost last year and what Picayune's able to keep. They've got some real good players on their team, and they're a strong team as well. I think that this is the year that they come away with the 6A title, and so I got Picayune #1.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a kid like Nolan Wilson on your defensive line,
Yeah,
he's going to make it hard for any of these teams. And they have a dandy. I mean, they've had a couple dandies. I mean, they had the Jamonte Waller too. I mean, so Picayune is and the running back. Why am I blanking on the name? Man, he played at Nebraska. Either way, they had the running back a few years back as
yeah.
well, and another one that I think went to Stanford or something like that. But either way, Picayune has just produced that level of talent. So you know they're going to have that. And they're going to be physical. Seeing a Picayune Warren Central championship, that would just be it would be old school football at its finest. You know, you see all these other classifications throwing the ball around the yard, and then Warren Central and Picayune playing in this little box where it's just about the gridiron of, no pun intended, of football.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we have the same championship, just a different result there. But I'll tell you this. You said on Monday that you felt like, as far as the champion, that 7A would be the least interesting. Where would you put 6A? You think it'll be pretty? I think it'll be pretty competitive.
Yes and no. I think with these top 3 to 4 teams, I think yes, but I do not think that there's a sleeper team outside the ones that we have in our consensus top 4 that has a chance of winning it. So when we talk about how wide open, it's really not. I don't. I think there's only about 3 teams: Grenada, Warren Central, and Picayune that can win it. So no, I hate to say this. It's interesting because I think there's a couple really great teams, but I do not think it's as wide open as, say, a 3A, where I have no idea. There are so many teams, a
Oh yeah.
1A, a 2, maybe 1A not as much, but 2A, 3A. No, I think 6A is somewhere in the middle ground of the competitiveness at the top. Because so yes and no.
Yeah, definitely. So look, we got another list. We got another list we're gonna go through. We're gonna talk about what our opinions are of the best football fields in the state. Now, Blake, look, I think we might have different opinions on what makes a good football field, because listen, I'm gonna have to give my criteria. It's not criteria as much as it's just my opinion. So listen, I'm a fan of grass. I like grass fields. Those are my favorites.
You're running out
I'll
of them. You're running out of them.
I know it. I know it. Especially you're running out of good ones, because most of the
Yeah.
grass fields are just brown. Uh, and then cool seating. I like really cool seating as well. So that kind of goes into my list of 5. Do you have yours ranked? You have yours ranked, right?
Yeah, but I don't think we need to go into the ranking. We could just start with some of the ones that we like.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Good.
for me, there's a few things. New, big, the away stands being nice,
Oh yeah.
and the lights. I mean, because that lighting can be tough. Mississippi College doesn't have football anymore, but those lightings were that's just not great lighting on a football field. Sadly, sorry to my Mississippi College people. So those types of things, atmosphere matters. So when I think of the best ones, I think of Petal and Brandon just off the top of my head, and then Meridian as well. Meridian, just the size. I'd love to see a high school football state championship there if they ever go to that route. It's just the massive size of Meridian, and now that they've just redone it, I absolutely love it. Brandon, when you walk into Brandon and you see the Bulldog right when you walk in, and you feel like you're at a college atmosphere, wonderful. And Petal, I mean, we talk about the newest, the nicest. It is unbelievable. It used to be, the University of South Panola because of how they played. I'm like the University of Petal just because of the facilities that they have.
I
I
know
mean,
it.
you think about some of these coaches, how they're put in these rooms where there's 6 coaches and their office is all together in one room. At Petal, it seems like all the coaches have their individual offices because it's just such a crazy facility.
No, I know it. And Brandon and Petal, I've done a few. I've broadcasted at both of those places, and unbelievable. And that's another sign of a good facility is when they have a really good setup for the visiting broadcast, because a lot of places will just be like, you can get a little closet, and figure it out. You know what I mean?
You
So
know, you know who has the best. You know who has the best media room now?
who does?
MRA.
Oh,
They
really?
have that.
Yeah, I've
They
never
have
been
that
there.
double. They have that double decker. So there's 2 levels that are the same.
Oh,
So the away and the home broadcast pretty much has the same exact thing. The coordinators have the same exact thing. It's awesome. MRA has the best media broadcasting slash coaches booth in the state. No doubt. It's not even close.
listen. So here are some of my favorite places. Now, granted, objectively they might not be the best places just given what you're saying about Petal and Brandon and places like that. But listen, I like Vicksburg's place. I like
Oh
Vicksburg's
yeah, yeah.
because you got the hills, and the hills go right down into the football field. I like that. It also at Vicksburg's place you have the visiting side press box. It has a roof over it, but it's open air, which is pretty cool as well. It's just like it's a cool place. I think it's just got its unique feel to it because Vicksburg has those hills, and if you're there, you're in Vicksburg.
Yeah, and I'd love to see Natchez do something like that too, because when
Oh
you're
yeah,
on the river like that, and you're kind of one of
yeah.
those port cities, I think Natchez could do something really cool like that and kind of play off, the Bluff City, and Vicksburg did a really good job. I 100%, and their away stands are massive, so if the away team brings a lot of people, they got enough seating. Uh, they just redid their weight room too, so their
Oh really?
weights are better too. So yeah. So I like Vicksburg.
Yeah, another one that I like is George County. Now this is where we're talking about the grass. Okay, their grass pristine. I mean, you're talking about. Well, listen, the time that I went down there was pristine. I mean, it was green, just fully green grass, and in November, so you know that they are taking care of that grass because at the beginning, right after the summer, you'll have green grass, but then in the winter, a lot of times it'll be bad looking. But down there in George County, they had it looking real nice, and the stands they're about a normal size for probably what a 6A would kind of be, but I like George County as well.
Look, if we're talking about looks, the coast schools and the prettiness, if we're just talking about vibes
Oh
of
yeah,
being, I guess what was it when the sun goes down, the sunset, right?
oh
Is there
yeah.
any better than the coast cities? However, I don't know the vibe. Sometimes it's almost too relaxed down on the coast. It's almost too. It reminds me of I'm from Los Angeles and some of the games I went to in high school, and it's like we're just casually going to the football game.
Yeah, no, 100%. But
I mean,
yeah, no, I'm.
South Panola has the indoor field that's insane.
Wait, South Panola. Okay, now you're telling me news. They play inside.
No, that their practice is
Their
inside.
practice. Okay, wow, that's pretty cool though. That's
Oh,
pretty phenomenal for high
they have a
school.
they have a great stadium, but then they have the indoor practice facility. Oh yeah, look, it's the University of South Panola.
No kidding, no kidding. But me being a fan of grass, it's tough for high schools, and if you think about it, it just costs a lot of money to keep up good grass fields. If you're talking about like Mississippi State, you think about Mississippi State's field, just how wonderful it looks, and it's grass. But they've got that. Mississippi State is where people learn how to landscape. You know what I mean? So you're talking about phenomenal looking, but high schools can't quite afford that, and so turf is a lot of times a better option. I know.
So everyone knows how a football field is not flat completely, right? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know if everyone's aware of that. It's not
yeah,
just a straight flat surface, right? That there is a hump down the middle,
yeah.
right?
That's right.
And I love some of those small schools. I'll go there, and you can't even see below the knees of the coaches on the other side because the hump down the middle is just too big, and you're like, what is going on? I can't even see their knees on the other side. Oh, of
Well,
small
see,
schools, Velma Jackson, obviously, they're part of the Madison County School District. So anything that they have to do for Madison Central, Germantown, Ridgeland, they do for Velma. Velma is the best of all the small schools. Oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. Go check it out in Camden. I mean, you might get a flat tire on the way, but if you can get to the field, oh, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, folks, look, we appreciate you joining us. This is the Magnolia Shine podcast, episode 2, right here on this Thursday, August 21st. Definitely like and share it. I know a lot of people will be interested in this. We got good Mississippi high school sports coverage, and now we're about to see a lot of good football coming. Games are about to get started, so we're going to have a lot to talk about and on these shows. But folks, we appreciate you joining us. Blake Levine, alongside myself, Trellis Williams. We out.